Scully's is a good place to dance. And
Yeah. I like Scully's. Columbus is dope, dude.
I mean, because of Ohio State, it's always going to kind of be popping. There's just so much money there.
Totally. Yeah. Here's my one interesting Columbus fact is that Columbus is actually the third largest fashion capital in the U.S. behind L.A. and New York.
The only reason I could think that's true is because of L Brands.
Yeah, that's pretty much
and
exactly what it is.
what's his name?
Les Wexner.
Les Wexner.
Also, the Abercrombie and Fitch home office is there, too.
Yeah, because of L Brands. And you all know Jeff Epstein, obviously, in his drama with Columbus, right? And L Brands.
No.
Oh, dude. Leslie and I think his name's Leslie, right? Leslie or Lester.
Les
Wexner and Jeff were tight, super tight.
Lester and Jeff.
Yeah.
It sounds like two pedophiles.
It does, doesn't it?
Lester and Jeff.
Is it Lester? I think it's Leslie, to be honest. I think his name is Leslie.
Yeah, his name's Leslie.
It is?
Yeah.
Leslie Wexner and Jeff Epstein. Hell yeah. Those guys, oh man, those names are not. Those names are not
his
serving.
His name is everywhere.
Leslie?
Wexner. It's
billionaire.
It's literally everywhere.
That's how Jeff Epstein became a billionaire, is because riding this guy's coattails. And my theory is these guys were up to some really shady shit with Victoria's Secret models. Just really shady shit. Wexner didn't get married till he was like in his late 50s, I think. So these dudes were bacheloring it up for decades.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, when you have that much money, you can pretty much just do whatever the you want, or if you feel like you can do whatever the you want.
Yep. Yeah. That's pretty true. You can buy Congress.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure in many ways they did. I can't think of a better way to start, guys.
Yeah.
So business is another shit. I'm your host, Amer. What's up, Hayden Humphrey?
What is going on?
John Dolder, assistant producer.
Hey, what's going on?
Today we are comicless. Yeah, we don't have comics, so
there's no laughter today.
Make up for that.
We'll make up for it. Yeah. It may be the least funny show we've ever had.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty depressing, everyone. So
yeah,
please tune in.
Yeah, pop a couple. What are they called? What are the things you take for depression?
What?
Antidepressants.
Yeah. Pop some Prozac.
That's what I kept thinking. Pfizer. I'm like, that's the company.
Mm-hmm. Pfizer.
What's your tattoo say, Hayden?
It says joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre.
Yeah, it's a French expression. Means joy of life. Just like exuberance at being alive.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's be alive, baby.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you all for listening. Hayden, you are a life coach right now.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
You weren't a life coach just a couple years ago.
No, I was not. So
you were in San Fran, right?
I was, yeah.
Working for LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I moved out there originally to work for a smaller tech startup, and then left that company after about 8 months, and then joined LinkedIn as part of a rotational program.
Oh, it's part of a rotational program.
Yeah,
in LinkedIn.
Yeah, and
so you got to see a lot of the company.
I did. It was cool, actually. Like I did some recruiting, I did some customer service, and then when I moved to Chicago, I was doing a sales role, which was great. It's a great company. I just beginning of 2017 just realized a lot of stuff about why I'd been making certain decisions and how I did not want to be working for anybody else.
Self-reflective.
Yeah.
All right, so you're from Columbus. Yeah. Did you go to Ohio State?
No, so I actually went to Ohio University.
Okay.
Go Bobcats.
Yep.
And
That's in wait, where?
Athens, Ohio. Yeah, literally middle of nowhere, Ohio.
Right. I've been there before.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Just a friend of mine.
Just cuz?
Azhar, dear friend of mine. I think was he with also? I think it was Azhar. He was booked for a stand-up comedy show there.
Oh, cool.
So we drove there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we drove there, and we checked out Athens, and we did the show. Now, a fun fact: on the way there, we stopped at a gas station, like a rest stop in the rural part of Ohio, and it was like, I don't know, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and I'm in the back seat. I open my door, only to find a dude running as fast as he's ever run in his life, probably. And he runs right into the door. Yeah, and his hip is just like destroyed. And he goes straight to the ground. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even see you. And I'm like, why are you running in a gas station at 2 in the morning? He's just like, I'm like, are you okay? I kid you not. Jumps up. I'm fine. Keeps running. I'm like, this dude is on some kind of drugs. Yeah.
Probably meth.
Probably meth, right?
Yeah.
It's Ohio.
It's Appalachia, man. It's it's rough.
Yeah?
Rural parts of Ohio.
Is it like, I mean, West Virginia is the capital of the drug problem. Is that part kind of like West Virginia?
Oh, well, I think it's West Virginia and Ohio. Like, they have a huge problem with, blanking on the exact term.
Opioids.
Opioids, yeah. It's a crisis. Like, it's a straight up crisis.
Speaking of, Purdue Pharma, who is like the major supplier of most opioids in this country, it just came out. We're taping here, guys, on Friday, September the 13th. That they've been stashing billions of dollars overseas, so that when the settlement comes and all the lawsuits, which are all coming down the pike as we speak, they will have most of their money overseas. These guys not only destroyed America in many ways, but then like stashed all their cash overseas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't there one?
Welcome to America, baby.
Isn't there one family that like owns
Purdue Pharma?
majority? Yeah.
Sacklers.
Okay. Yeah.
Sackler Pharma.
Okay. I was like, I think I was reading something about that. But yeah, dude, crazy. I was listening to Bernie Sanders on the Joe Rogan.
So did I.
Yeah, and it was crazy. He was talking about how so many of these companies literally pay nothing in federal income tax.
Bernie Sanders is amazing to me now that I'm thinking about it more and more. Yes, that's true. Most companies, especially real estate companies like Trump's, pay no taxes, and they've figured out ways to do that. This country's crazy in many ways, but I think Bernie's actually interesting when it comes to money. This dude is kind of a phenomenon as I thought about it more and more and more. Like, there's not one corporation that supports Bernie Sanders that gives him money. There's not one, like, not many. Maybe there's a few political action groups that give him some money.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this guy is like, he's the four-letter word, socialist, that Americans will mostly hate. But the truth is, like, he almost got nominated. Hillary won, and now he's got a shot.
Yeah.
So
I see him as a guy that doesn't take shortcuts. Like, that's the cool part, is like when you don't take money from organizations or corporations, like, you then are not beholden to them at all. You then get to run on the ideas that you see as actually important and making a difference.
Yeah.
Versus if you start taking money from corporations, it's like, it's kind of no longer your thing. Yeah.
You're bribed.
Yeah.
You're bribed. Yeah. That's it. Man, this dude is amazing. When I thought about it more and more, I'm like, holy shit, Bernie's kind of a phenomenon. How did this country actually get that close to nominating him? And here we are again. And he's popular as hell. And I mean, part of me is like, go Bernie. Yeah. Like, shit, just because he's kind of in that underdog role.
Yep.
You know?
Well, is like phenomenon as in it's interesting given the current political climate, or phenomenon given your political views and what you see as
phenomenon given how I believe this country operates. I mean, the lifeblood of this country is buying elections, money to politicians.
Totally.
That is the lifeblood of this country. I don't mean it in a negative way. I don't mean it in a positive way. It's just how it operates. I've been part of the machine. I'm like, oh shit, this is how it works. Whether I was at JP Morgan or supporting other political candidates, as I've gotten more and more involved in it, I'm like, holy shit, this is legit. As a, wishful thinking kid growing up, I'm like, everything's fair. I'm like, no, if you got a lot of money, like you were saying about Wexner, if you got a lot of money, you can pretty much do anything in this country.
It's crazy. I was just
so from that perspective about Bernie, how the F did this guy get, how did he get almost nominated, Here's my worry. Sorry, can you hold that thought?
Yeah.
Here's my worry. He gets nominated and he goes up against Trump, right? And this is why I think he may not get nominated, because I think, and right away, Trump will just go, atheist, Jew, communist. I can just hear it right now, and that will just turn off so many Americans. So I unfortunately I'm
what, all those descriptions will turn them off?
Turn most Americans off. Yeah.
Oh, to Bernie?
Yeah. Call him an atheist, Jew, communist.
Yeah.
That people won't vote for him when Trump starts throwing all that shit around. Despite the fact that it seems the man does want the best for our country, Bernie, I just think it's gonna be really hard with how marketing and PR works in this country, and how they'll just brand him.
That's tough, man. Because then it's like you're hedging your bets constantly. It's like it's this balance between like pragmatism and idealism almost. And it's like, where do you draw the line between like, hey, he's bringing these ideas that are like, they make a ton of sense, like, and they seem to be really supported by pretty much everybody. Yeah.
And
it becomes this question of like,
Yeah, I see where you're going.
You know, like put your bet on the horse that is actually going to serve the most amount of people, like, or do you just go with the thing that's likely to win? And that's just shitty.
It's shitty.
Shitty situation to be in.
That's the country that we live in, guys, and we choose to continue to live here. I'm a hypocrite, like agreeing to all this shit. Yet I still participate in the popularity contest. I like plugged my nose and voted for Hillary, and I was like, "What am I doing?" But I'm like, "But I think this is the lesser of the two evils."
Yeah, dude, that's
Damn.
tough.
Yeah. So that's Bernie's a phenomenon, and yeah, the Sacklers are shit.
Crazy.
What do I like to say?
What I was gonna say was I was having this conversation yesterday. You know, you talk about it's scary, man. Like wealth disparity.
Yes,
like the
inequality.
Wealth gap.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm a firm believer that in systems, like there are certain when you look at how things have gone, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, right?
Yes.
And so there are certain things
patterns.
Yes. And so there are certain things like power and money that beget more power and money. And it becomes this question of
what's an example of that? Do you have someone on top of your mind?
If you just look generally at like businesses, for example, like Amazon, like as it continues to grow, expand into more markets, create more products, that creates more power and more money for it to be able to expand into more markets and create more products.
And their growth becomes exponential.
Exactly. And so it becomes this question of like, it's this train, it's almost a runaway train. And it's like, when does that stop? And it doesn't until it hits something. So either it's regulatory, either the government's coming in to say, you're too big and we're going to break you up and you need to stop doing this. Or the scarier piece is it creates enough pain for enough individuals that those individuals get together and they basically revolt in a sense. And they basically say, we're not going to support Amazon anymore, or, you know, however it actually goes down.
Boycott.
Yeah, but it's the momentum. It's like this flywheel that just keeps getting faster and faster. And it's the same thing with the wealth gap.
Inequality. Totally. Right. I see what you're saying. It will
continue to grow larger and larger. Itself, Yeah, until it gets to a point where who knows what's going to happen. But, you know, it all plays into this idea that things happen in cycles. And this might be a little bit pessimistic or, you know, scary or what have you, but like when you look at how things have historically gone, any situation like this, it ends in not the best way. Like it ends in some way. You know what I mean?
Some shitty way.
What I'm saying? Yeah, like the wealth gap will continue to increase until it gets to a point where it's created enough pain for individual people.
Rebellion, revolution, Egypt, Tahrir Square, Arab Spring. Can you imagine all the Arabs in this country revolting?
Kinda.
Actually, you can, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
And brown people in general, I could see them revolting.
Yeah, brown people love revolting.
Although I will say, like, what's been going on, most immigrants that come to this country are not from Mexico. They're from, like, Asia or the Middle East or other parts of the world where they're, like, highly trained. They're moving the tech, part of our economy forward. And so, Trump is just like, those Mexicans are rapists and murderers. And it's like, yo, man, they're not even like the majority of immigrants coming through the country.
Yeah.
It's like highly trained people that make our economy better.
It's a scapegoat.
It's a total scapegoat.
I mean, he's just stoking fear.
Absolutely.
How he runs everything.
Yeah, exactly. The guy's got a great playbook, in my opinion. I don't like it.
It works.
I don't like it, but it works like a charm. Damn, he's smarter than we all think.
Crazy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The market is going his way because he is making it, in my opinion, go his way. I think that they're frothy. So first of all, we're now reapproaching. I don't know if you guys pay much attention to the stock market. Hayden, do you?
Ish.
Are you invested in any way in the markets?
I was.
Okay.
And not anymore.
Really? Yeah. You sold and you're like,
yes.
This is not the time for me to be investing.
Starting a business.
Yeah. Using that money for investing in your own business, basically.
Yeah, bingo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, if and when you begin to generate profits, you may go back in, would you say?
Yeah.
Do you have a view? Are you like anti-stock market?
No, I'm not. I think it's an incredible vehicle and an incredible mechanism. It's really just been this question of like where to put that money. And I have tended more towards looking into things like real estate, like investing in real estate versus investing in stocks.
Yeah.
But that said, like that could very well change. I think that there's an opportunity for me to become more financially literate. But it's one thing at a time. It's priority.
I do both.
Yeah.
A little real estate, a little stock.
Nice.
And the thing about real estate that's badass that a lot of people don't realize is the fact that you almost anyone can get a loan in this country. Mm-hmm. Most people can get a loan, and then they'll give you a loan for a highly expensive asset, like a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you only have to put $50,000 or $100,000 down for that house, if that. Depending on how expensive the house is, say 10 or 20%. I mean, there's even loans out there through the FHA where you only have to put 3% down.
Isn't that like if you buy a multi-unit, you can if you live in it, then they'll give you a loan for
that? Yes,
3%. Okay,
that is possible. I don't know if it's 3% though.
Okay,
but you are more likely to get that larger loan because you're going to live in it.
Right.
And it might be 3%. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but no, there's ways where you don't necessarily buy a multi-unit. Building, you just buy a home and you can put 3% down. So let's say it's a $250,000 house, $250,000, and you put 3% down. 3% of $25,000. Of 250,000 is $7,000. Yeah, $7,000. You put $7,000, and you now have a $250,000 house. Yeah. Well, guess what? It's kind of like if you had $250,000 worth of stocks, right? You're owning an asset the way you'd own stock. But instead of stock, it's real estate. Mm-hmm. And you only had to put $7,000 down.
Interesting.
In hopes of that 250 going up a few percent each year. Yeah. Real estate goes up a few percent each year historically. Yep. So it could go up $7,000 on its own each year with you just putting $7,000 in. Now there's maintenance costs with real estate that stocks don't have. Yeah. But still, over a long period of time, you will make more than those maintenance. So that's why I like real estate, is because of the leverage you can get in this country. Right.
Love that.
So stocks are basically right at their peak again. All-time record highs, which basically also suggests a lot of the other asset markets like real estate are also at super all-time highs. And Trump's got to be loving this because it usually takes 6 to 9 months before people announce a recession. And so as we get closer to 2020, it's looking less and less likely that a recession will be a headline that hurts Trump. Okay. More likely to get reelected is what I'm thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I keep hearing the stock market go up and up and up, which kind of surprises me given the whole trade war. Everything's slowing down in the world. But the trade war hasn't been bad enough to make things go into a recession yet.
What's the timing of it's interesting. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day too. It's like, how can you really expect to make meaningful change in 4 years? Like really
Superman.
Meaningful, like literally.
Superman.
Like you're so much more likely to get the butt end of whatever happened, the decade prior.
Wait, what's the butt end? Like the ass end? Like the shitty end?
Yeah. Whatever, whoever came before you, like what they ended up doing. Like that's,
Oh, so Trump gets like the shitty end of Obama possibly?
I mean, possibly. But
Obama definitely got the shitty end.
Everybody. I think it happens to everybody.
Obama definitely got the shitty end when it came to Bush because of the 2008 recession. Wow, did he get that? Yeah.
Yep.
So I see what you're saying. And then Bush may have gotten the shitty end from Clinton, I guess.
Yeah. It's just the delay. The delay.
Yeah.
It takes time.
4 years. Markets are up. So for those listening who are investors, what I recommend is you keep investing despite the fact that markets are at a peak, right? You always hear, you don't want to buy when the market's super expensive and at its highest levels. Yeah, I hear you, but the fact that I don't think we're purely a capitalist country. Our capitalism is so driven by the Federal Reserve, by government policy. We're not purely capitalists. So anything can happen. Australia has not had a recession in 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so this can happen. You could a boom, I guess, or a stock market that goes up. It can technically go up as long as it wants. Yeah, it shouldn't, in my opinion. You should recess in order to have ebbs and flows. You yourself a few minutes ago said, "Hey, you know how things are cyclical, Amer?" Yeah. In the back of my mind, I'm like, "Hey, guess what, Hayden? Not everything is. Depends on what kind of stick you're wielding, like our government."
Or a didgeridoo.
A didgeridoo? What'd you say?
A didgeridoo.
You said Australia.
The instrument?
Yeah.
No, what's a didgeridoo?
It's one of those, like,
It's like the pipe. It's like the flute-looking thing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, it makes that whoa.
Nice. I was like, I have no idea how to do that sound.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like a little bit of a whammy bar on a guitar. Is that what it's called? Whammy bar?
Yeah, it's the banjo of Australia.
The banjo of Australia.
What is it? This is out of curiosity. What is it about Australia that has it not had a recession in 25 years?
I've never looked into it too deeply. I do think they're running. They're I don't know. They've had a strong economy, and they've all been investing. Like they're highly they're also very financially literate people. So they do a good job saving and investing in their own economy and in their own stock markets. I wanted to say natural resources, and I think that might be true. Yeah. However, I don't know if that's true. If it is true, what I think would be likely the case is because they're so close to China, and they're the most developed country, besides Japan, who China can't stand, they're the most developed country that China would probably trade with. And so my guess is with the last 25 years of China being on a crazy boom, Australia just rode their coattails. Yeah.
Yo, did you see that? They just put a new documentary on Netflix called The American Factory.
No.
Crazy.
Do tell.
Crazy.
We are a business podcast. This sounds great.
So it was a Chinese billionaire that ended up buying a factory in, I believe it was Dayton, Ohio. It was an old GM factory, and they came in and basically he bought the factory to create, he owns a glass company. And so this was like the North American factory for his glass company, and it was crazy because they looked at the cultural differences between the American workers and the Chinese workers, and it's
wait some
crazy.
Chinese I missed that Chinese workers
Chinese billionaire literally just came to the US.
He brought Chinese workers with him.
Yes, he brought Chinese workers with him. And I think
so like the fact that it was half Chinese people, half
so it was interesting, like the
Ohio.
cultural dynamics. In Ohio, literally like Dayton, Ohio.
Listeners, in case you don't know, John and Hayden are both from Ohio, not far from Columbus.
Yes.
No shit.
Yes, sir.
So
it was so interesting because you look at the cultural dynamics between the American workers and the Chinese workers, and it's
dude,
like,
I can see white people from Ohio just beating the shit out of some of these Chinese people. Like
it probably happened at some point.
They should have like a WWF like cage match in that factory, and they just charge for
That's
that.
what they use the suicide nets for.
in wrestling?
Yeah.
Or wait, suicide nets? You mean like at like Foxconn, like at some of these factories?
Yeah.
So they don't jump off, right? So they don't kill themselves.
I mean,
didn't they put nets around
the building?
The building?
Is that what you're talking about? The nets around the building?
Yeah. The Foxconn just use them put them up for WWE instead of like falling off the building. They just bounce up off of them.
Oh man, they probably at this. Was it by any chance in the documentary? Did they go to the roof and they had the nets and they had the Chinese and the white people like wrestling or no?
It was it was like a bonus footage, so you had to wait until after the credits.
It was an Easter egg.
Chappelle,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Easter. Yeah,
like Chappelle's Sticks and Stones. Did you watch that?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man, that's something else. But yeah, most people don't realize. Not most, but many people don't realize. Many is most, I guess. That you have to watch all the credits through on Chappelle's Sticks and Stones, and wait, and then the epilogue begins.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a whole 20 minutes of Chappelle doing Q&A.
Oh, that's cool.
After many of his comedy gigs. And it was fantastic.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
There's
Have you seen Sticks and Stones?
Stuff.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good. It's getting so much. It's getting so much traction. It's getting so much talk in the media. Like, did you hear about the whole Rotten Tomatoes drama?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, check this out. So, Rotten Tomatoes for Sticks and Stones first had, I think this is their standard policy, they first had their own in-house critics rate it, who are all highly progressive, highly liberal, far left people. Right. And it got 0%. And so for a period of time, I think like a week or something, Sticks and Stones, because what they do is they just do the critics for a week or something like that.
Yeah. And
so it was 0% Sticks and Stones for a whole week.
Wow.
They finally opened it up to the public.
Yeah.
It's sitting at 99% right now.
For public
reviews.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He said some, I mean, I can't give away a lot of it because I want you guys to watch it, but all sorts of crazy ass shit that he was saying in there. He basically kind of said like, yo, you want to cancel me? Go ahead and cancel me. He's basically telling the camera, the audience, the public, like, go ahead and cancel me. And he's just like, I love that he's a regular guy critiquing where our society's come with this whole cancel culture. You know,
I love that. Well, did they talk about at all the dynamic, like why that happened, like why it seemed that the folks who were at Rotten Tomatoes like all had a very similar opinion as compared to. Okay.
Yeah, his content and his material in there, which I'll just touch on.
Yeah.
I won't try not to give too much away, but it was all extremely many people were offended by his content who are highly liberal, far left leaning people.
Got it.
So, for example, he had a long bit about transvestites, and everyone felt like that was extremely offensive. And I think that was kind of the one that really. But then he also kind of like almost directly did an impression of someone who's like if you say anything wrong or any tweets that you do, and if I don't like them, you're gonna get canceled. I'm not gonna do anything for you. And they're all like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "That's you, audience." So like he kind of like it wasn't so subtle.
I like that,
for a subtle comedian. That wasn't so subtle, and I was like, "Oh shit."
He's got something to say.
Dave was ready to stand up for himself, and his at some level it felt like he was standing up for himself and his fellow comedians and fellow celebrities who have been targeted, like Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart. And it's like I think he just felt like no one's standing up for us. No, our voices aren't getting heard, and he did it.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, it's tough when you got stuff like Louis C.K., like everything that went down with him,
right,
in his own, in his own personal life. And at the same time, I think like just comedians who are pushing the envelope. I think it's important. I think it's important. It's a like, important
that voice,
message, and it's not always gonna be, not offensive.
It's gonna ruffle people's feathers, and it ruffled these 0%ers.
Yep.
Feathers big time.
Yeah.
But the audience loved it. So yeah, that's markets. I don't know where we got, but let's talk about some business news, y'all. So there's this drama going on with this company, Nissan. Ever heard of them?
Who's that?
They make cars, and they made shitty cars for a long time, till a dude named Carlos Ghosn, he's Lebanese, actually, Middle Eastern. I'm Palestinian, so this dude's just from my neck of the woods. So Carlos Ghosn, in like early 2000, walked into Nissan, merged them with Renault, and made them a serious powerhouse. And so for the last 20 years, Nissan kicked ass. Then his like right-hand dude totally went shady and like turned him in for financial, quote unquote, financial impropriety. Yeah. His boy was Hiroto Saikawa, Japanese dude. They're in Japan. Nissan's based in Japan. So Carlos was living in Japan, running a company in Japan. And so they kicked out Carlos, and this dude's under house arrest right now for this financial impropriety.
Yeah, I was reading that.
Yeah. So I talked about it like last year. I'm like, I think this is bullshit. Like, this guy supposedly like the financial impropriety is $3 million. Like, he made Nissan billions and billions of dollars, and he tried to steal $3 million additional dollars for his salary and pay. I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like, did the guy really need $3 million and he had to steal it? He's getting paid probably like 20.
It's what we were talking about earlier. Like, when you have a ton of money, it's like it's almost like the rules. Not that the rules don't apply, but like you feel like you can get away with stuff.
I guess, yeah.
If you were just in somebody's normal citizency, you wouldn't
get away with it. Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm Nissan and I realize that this dude brought us back from the brink, I'd sit him down. I'd be like, yo, you stole $3 million extra. Like, dude, we pay you 20. Why are you stealing $3 million? Like, I don't want to have to fire you. Like, you're an important person. So I don't know what this Hiroto guy was up to. But then he became CEO once he got this dude in trouble, Carlos. And what just came out this week, Hiroto resigned from the board because the board forced him to resign because he's up to some financial improprieties. It's like, dude.
Maybe it's in the job description. Maybe that's part of the job.
Dude, the culture of this company, I don't know. So the board looked at Hiroto and was like, sayonara. And he's gone. He gone. And so now I'm wondering, like, this reminds me, like, who's going to come up next? And what kind of shit has this guy been doing? Like, they put the COO in charge. Let me see if I wrote the guy's name down.
Financial impropriety?
Yeah, what kind of financial impropriety is he up to? I don't know, but like, yeah, I didn't write his name down. It reminds me of the Virginia shit. Do you guys remember this Virginia drama? Ralph Northam is the Virginia governor. And this guy was found to have worn blackface in a yearbook, his medical school yearbook.
I think I heard about this.
It's like almost a year ago.
Yeah.
All right. You're laughing, John, right? It's crazy, right?
In his medical school yearbook.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Picture of him wearing blackface. And so there was a big uproar in Virginia. And they're like, kick him out, kick him out. And so the dude was like about to step down. And they're like, all right, so who's going to be the next governor? And like, oh, well, of course, it's the lieutenant governor. A dude named...
Lieutenant governor.
I think his name is Justin Fairfax. The lieutenant.
That's a cool title.
Cool title, right?
Lieutenant
Sounds better than governor.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass of a title to
It
have.
sounds like it's a better title than governor.
I'd rather be that than governor. Hell yeah.
Just imagine.
Not from a power perspective, you wouldn't.
Just imagine you have one of those gun belts on at all times.
Around your office. Yeah. Sally, tell all my emails and phone calls that I'm going to go to the...
Get me my shoe polish.
Yeah.
Gonna be in blackface today.
So the moment gonna be in blackface, I'll be doing that speech in blackface today. The moment they found out like this guy's gonna be the next guy governor, a woman from California raised her hand. She's like, "Yo, that lieutenant governor sexually assaulted me." And so everyone's like, "Well, damn."
Whoa.
Who's going to take the governor's spot if the lieutenant governor's up to some shit?
Corporal.
The corporal governor?
The corporal.
The corporal governor is known as the attorney general. I forget this guy's name, Mark something. Okay. They're like, well, if the governor can't be the governor and the lieutenant governor can't be the governor, who comes next? It's the attorney general in that pecking order.
Oh, interesting.
And when everyone started asking about the attorney general, who's that guy? He immediately raised his hand. He's like, it can't be me. I wore blackface in college too. He just turned himself in right away.
Darn.
That's crazy.
Preemptive.
Who's next then? Who's number 4?
Hey, who's the next person?
I think it's like the Speaker of the House. And I think he came out and said something like, I did some shit too. Like it was literally comedy.
It just keeps going all the way down. Like the janitor. The janitor is now
How
now
many
the governor.
more Southern politicians are going to be caught with blackface?
I know. They've all done it, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is Nissan right now. This is what's happening at Nissan. Carlos, Hiroto, whoever's next. Nissan needs to figure out their shit in Japan. Yeah. So, okay. So you're a life coach, Hayden.
Yes.
All right. Hiroto right now has got his head in his hands. He's like, oh, what the did I do? So what would you tell this guy if he was in this room right now? What advice would you give him in how to recover his reputation and fix his life? Because, I mean, he may not get hired by another company. He's like probably in his 60s. It's like the end of his career kind of thing. It's kind of a shitty thing to happen at the end of your career, you know?
Yeah.
He's probably got another 10, 15 years to work.
Yep.
But now he's just sitting at home in his underwear probably.
Yeah. Well, first, stop being an idiot. Number 1. No, I mean, the interesting part about it is like, especially in coaching, like you have to be the one that leads towards where you want to go. You know? So it's like my job isn't like telling people what to do. It's more so like, hey, what do you actually want? And what's getting in the way of
Let me fix the hypothetical.
Yeah.
He comes to you.
Yeah.
And he says, I need to fix my life.
Yeah.
What would you tell this
Full on ownership.
Oh, yeah? Own the shit out of it?
Well, I'm just... and this might be naive, but I'm a full form believer that that's the way out. Is like own your shit, own your shit, and then you have control of it, and you can actually over time turn it into something that's like, hey, I learned from my mistakes. Like,
not
hey,
right
I did
away.
these things. Not right away, but like
because even owning
it'll
it, like,
take time.
I can say like to my wife, take responsibility. I shouldn't have snapped at you. And in that moment, she's like, yeah, bullshit. She doesn't believe it. And I kind of don't believe it either, but I know I want to own it. But it kind of takes me a little time to really think about what did I just do and what am I really owning here?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I was really trying to hurt her. I'm being a jerk. Why am I trying to hurt her?
Yep.
Oh, because, whatever she did something to me. You know what I mean? And so you're saying owning it
Full ownership.
over time is where the lesson will come in.
Totally.
And then you'll grow from that.
Yeah. Well, and also if you're talking about it in terms of employment, like finding another employer or just the public more generally, like it's going to take other people's opinions of you to be able to do anything, to be able to go get another job.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's, and I might be totally misremembering this, but like Louis C.K., like we were talking about earlier, like he came out and he was basically like, yeah, I did all these things.
Yep.
He's like, I did that. Like,
and I may have hurt these
place.
women. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, totally. And he took complete and total ownership of it. And I don't know if he's come back yet, but like when he comes back, I think everyone's going to be like, okay, like it's chiller now because he just totally like full up owned it.
He's made some attempts to come back. He's kind of popping around in the comedy clubs.
Yeah, there's some like audio leaked of his sets at like Dangerfield and Comedy Cellar.
Yes, yes, and
he's addressed it. And
he opens up with something like
he's not apologetic about it really, and it's more of like he came out and he said, "How was everybody's year?"
Yeah, that's how he opens with.
Yeah.
So how's everyone's year?
Did you lose $10 million last year?
Was it as shitty as mine?
Was it as shitty as my year?
So
does everyone hate you?
Yeah.
So that was kind of additionally owning it. Is kind of just coming out and saying like,
Yep.
So okay, that's what that'd be the first thing.
I mean, it's interesting though. Like it might take a long time, but like
for Hiroto.
Or anybody just coming out, and taking ownership of it. But I just firmly believe that's the way to do it.
Yeah. All right. So let's say Hiroto says, "Okay, I'll take ownership,"
Yep.
and he takes steps to own it.
Yep.
Right. Public announcements, letters to certain people. Maybe he makes amends to people he may have hurt, and he's just kind of like owning it and owning it and owning it. Then what would you tell him?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. That it's probably more a question for somebody in like PR, but like at the same time, it's
he's trying to make change in his life.
Totally. Yeah.
So less the PR aspect, more
for sure. Yeah. So I mean, after full up responsibility, it's actually taking a look at like, all right, like what do I want to create from here? Like who do I actually want to be moving forward about this? Because it's when you talk about personal development, when you talk about transformation, in a sense, it's iterations of self. Like that's what everybody goes through. Some people go through it because they lose their house or they get in a car accident or something happens and they sort of have this wake up moment, like, oh shit, like I can't live like this anymore.
Right.
But you can also do it intentionally. Like it's also something that you can say, hey, I no longer want to be this person. I want things to go differently. And like what's the actual structure that needs to be put in place for this to happen.
You would help them with that structure.
Totally. Yeah. It's creating clarity around who do I actually want to be? How do I want things to go?
So let's say he says to you, I don't want to be this way. I want to be an executive still.
Yeah.
But one who operates from a place of life-giving. Yeah. One who operates from a place of I care about the environment. I care about not cooking the books. I care about the employees, and I want to be less selfish. I want to be a better executive and a better leader of people.
Yep.
What structure would you? How would you think about structure for that?
Totally. Well, I mean, through the work that I'm doing as a coach, so much of it is consistent awareness generation. So much of it is consistent awareness
generation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need some kind of feedback mechanism.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's it's getting on the phone with somebody, or it's actually like meeting up with somebody. It's being with someone else who's reflecting back to you, like, hey, here are how things are going.
Holding up a mirror.
Bingo. And that's the majority of what coaches do. Is like
that's all you do. What are we paying you for?
It's powerful, man. It's powerful.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Well, Socrates said, the eye cannot see itself.
Yeah.
We need other people. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in my faith as Muslim, he would say, believers are mirrors for each other.
Yep. Bingo.
So I think that's what you're kind of saying in many ways.
And it's just continually reflecting back. Like, where are you now? How's it going? What's getting in the way? And how do you want to show up differently?
Yeah.
Because we say we want things, and what's predictable is that he'll go back to those same patterns.
Yes.
Because that's just,
we can trust that.
As humans,
we can trust
like
that.
Stability. We like what we're comfortable with, even if it doesn't necessarily work in our favor.
So in order for him to break those patterns, he would need a constant awareness generation, which is holding up a mirror, feedback mechanism.
Yep.
And you're saying that it can't happen once or twice. It has to happen regularly. And that, Amer, is the structure you're asking for.
Totally.
Good answer, dude.
Yeah.
I trust this guy.
Yeah.
Do you trust me, Johnny?
Not yet.
You're from Columbus. Yeah, he knows too much of...
I know too much about the demon.
Yeah, exactly.
The animal.
Okay, so good luck, Hiroto. Hopefully you're listening. I'm sure he is.
Probably.
And Carlos Goes in house arrest. Any advice for the house arrest? Cut that shit off?
Yeah. Just stop. Just stop. Stop trying.
Man, being on house arrest in Japan, I feel bad for that dude. He's not even Japanese. All right, let's talk about some other news. I don't know if you heard about this, but Europe as a continent, actually the European Union, so the EU, is bouts to start printing a whole lot of money and pouring a whole lot of cash into their economy, into their banks and other, I would say, richer people, people who are able to get that money and do something with it. They announced that they're going to cut interest rates further as a preemptive strike against deeper recession. So Europe is struggling. I think Germany is officially in recession. Netherlands not doing too good. I'm sure France is on the struggle. Spain's definitely on the struggle. Italy, they've had all these problems with Greece. Yeah. And so they're struggling to like generate a good economy. And so they came out yesterday, Thursday night, I think yesterday evening, and they said, yo, we're going to cut rates further. And in my head, I'm like, yo, you guys have negative interest rates. I don't know if you guys know this shit, but they have negative interest rate. You know how we put our money in a bank and they pay us like 0.1%? At least we're getting something.
Yeah.
When you put your money in a bank in Europe,
you need to pay them.
You have to pay them. So if you put $100 in a bank in Europe, 6 months later, it's 90 or 95. You lose money. But supposedly that's safer that way.
Is it just encouraging spending?
Correct. Discouraging saving.
Okay, got it.
So they went from minus 0.4, their interest rate, to minus 0.5. Making it worse to put money in the bank. And they're like, we're going to print a bunch of cash. They're going to print money. And the way they print money, these guys are going to actually buy, they're going to lend money. They're going to buy bonds, which probably means nothing unless you are a sophisticated financial person who knows all sorts of stupid lingo. What they basically are going to do is lend money to banks at $22 billion per month. They're going to lend an additional $22 billion.
It's a couple bucks.
Yeah, that's a little bit. And so, yeah, like that's what these guys, I mean, the flip side of all this, so for two things. One is, this is kind of like, if we wanted to know what might be happening in America in the near future, as we try and pump drugs into our own economy, because that's what this is. When you print all this cash and you cut interest rates, you're just giving the economy morphine or drugs.
Won't it just cause inflation?
They're trying to generate more inflation because inflation is so low.
Okay.
Yeah, inflation's low in the U.S. and in Europe, so they're trying to drum up inflation. They're okay with inflation. If you're not careful and they print too much, they'll have major inflation problems. It doesn't seem to be a problem right now because businesses aren't spending as much. Trade is depressed because of the China trade war. Okay. So they're just trying to, like, whatever they can do to drum. And it's like, yo, just chill the F out. Let the economy go into a recession. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes we need to, a little kick in the pants. Yeah. But they're like, no. Let's keep cutting shit and keep pouring more money. More. It's like Walter White. They're firing up the RV. That's what these guys are doing right now.
Okay. It sounds like it's just trading symptoms.
Bingo.
That's literally
that's what the Fed and the ECB try and do. Instead of fixing shit, they're just trying to, like, drug it up. Now here's the flip side of all this. So first thing is, yo, that could be where we're going as the United States of America. Negative rates, printing more money. The other thought I had is, I can't believe this shit, but there are some people, depending on what kind of credit you have, who your bank will pay you, like a bank will pay me if I'm in Europe, to get a mortgage.
Whoa.
Yeah, because if rates are negative, if they keep going this negative, and I think there's at some level, if you're that high credit borrower, you don't have to pay an interest rate. They'll give you the cash and pay you to keep some of that cash. That's interesting. That's how much they want people to, like, take risk, buy homes, invest in businesses, whatever. That's where we're going, people.
Damn.
Yeah. What if they gave you money to? What if they lent? Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
What if they lent you money?
Lent me money?
And they pay you to lend you that money.
That would be pretty cool, but I would be waiting for the banana in the tailpipe.
Totally.
Yeah.
You didn't fall for no banana in the tailpipe. I love that movie. Those are my favorite movies. Beverly Hills Cop. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You watch those, Hayden?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude. Eddie Murphy's so Eddie Murphy's best shit. Yo, I'm hearing Eddie Murphy is going back on tour stand-up.
Yeah, I heard that. I was hearing that on the radio the other day.
I mean, like, I'm hearing like he's got venues booked and he's going on tour. I'm like, whoa. Eddie, I haven't heard you go into any comedy clubs like Chappelle. I haven't heard you like building a set.
Yeah.
Like, where are you doing this stand-up that no one knows? You got, like, I do stand-up and it is hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, to just get 5 or 10 minutes, man. I got to stand up in front of these stupid open mics and, not stupid, but extremely difficult, annoying open mics.
Well, it's Eddie Murphy.
Come on, man. Everyone needs to put in the work. Don't you think? He's been doing stupid movies for the last 20 years.
If you're a Eddie Murphy level famous, people will pay just to hear you talk.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's going to sell out.
Yeah.
Because most people don't understand like what it takes to put into a show. But I'm trying to tell you, like, for his legacy and for the quality of the show, like, Chappelle doesn't just wake up and pull out a 1-hour show called Sticks and Stones. Hell no. He even showed you you guys haven't seen it, but his favorite spot is a spot in San Francisco. I forget the name of it, where he goes and just is trying material on people and seeing exactly how he wants to craft it, word it, and work it.
Yeah. It's like, you're saying it's like iterative. Sounds like it's iterative. Like it just takes time to develop.
Extremely.
And that'd be tough, man. Especially if for him who's been out of the game for so long.
Yes.
Like I really hope that in coming back, it's not just a terrible dumpster fire.
I don't think it'll be because I'm sure he's got the right people around to help him craft the story. Yeah. But it's still not gonna be like you gotta craft it, man.
Either what do they say? Either go out the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Never heard that in my life, but I need you to say it again for me to... Dark Knight.
Yeah. So it's like you either go out the hero.
Yep.
Or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So hopefully Eddie Murphy doesn't become the villain.
I got you.
By not having good stuff.
You live that long, right.
We'll see.
Good luck, Eddie. I'm sure he's listening too. Cool. So that's Europe. Good luck, Europe. Good luck to us. God help all of us, man. I don't know what we're doing with these desperate measures. Walter White RV meth making lab. That's what America and Europe.
Me, so.
Was it?
Said it always works for me.
Yeah, meth.
Pull out the RV. Yeah.
You want some ice?
Yeah. Great.
All right. AT&T. Last but not least. So they're in the news. AT&T went all Hollywood when they bought HBO. They bought Time Warner for $85 billion. They bought Time Warner for $85 billion.
That's crazy.
And they have $160 billion of debt. A lot of that is because of the Time Warner purchase. They didn't just have that cash laying around. And, of course, markets gave them that money. They're like, oh, well, it's AT&T, this huge telecommunications company, right? Wireless provider. And so they bought Time Warner, and then this hedge fund on the down low, on the DL, called Elliott. I think it's called Elliott Management. They didn't like that shit. They're like, yo, this is becoming a big, fat pig. And they bought Time Warner just trying to put lipstick on it. You don't want to put lipstick on a pig. It don't work. It don't make it pretty.
They squirm too much. So.
You Ohio boys would know. I'm a city boy.
It was actually a thing. I used to have a family reunion at a farm, and it literally was there was a pig wrestling contest.
Whoa!
So you literally like you would grease up
human
grease
versus
up a
pig or pig versus pig.
You grease up you would grease up a pig, and then everyone would try and like catch the pig.
Try and
like
grab
the greased
the
up pig. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, don't lie.
Yeah.
How many times did you do this?
I did not. I did unfortunately did not have the chance.
You never actually
to
wrestled
show
the
off
pig?
my pig wrestling skills. I
No
was too
shit.
young.
Oh, you were too young
at the time. But
you watched it and you were scarred for life.
Pretty much. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories is my uncle used to raise pigs, and one day we were out there like by wherever like the pigs roamed around the pasture or whatever, just like some lit fenced in land that smelled completely of shit, and like one of the pigs was near the fence. The pig's name was Candy, and my uncle said, "Hey John, you want to ride Candy?" So,
how old were you?
3 years old.
Oh man, do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember this.
I guess it's kind of unforgettable.
Yeah. And he picked me up and then put me on the pig, and this pig just starts going buck wild. just squealing and just trying to buck me off.
Did he put the pig saddle on it?
The pig
You
saddle.
have to put the pig saddle on.
Is there a
first
pig
before you
saddle for
ride-
it?
before you ride the pig? No.
No, there was no pig saddle or anything. It was
No, just bareback.
yeah, just bareback in this pig.
You're riding it raw.
Yeah, I was riding this pig raw, and he just like had.
Well, dude, get us a punchline here. Like, what did you fall off or what?
No,
Did you
it's just-
successfully ride it?
Oh, my uncle was laughing his ass off.
Yeah, I'm
while
sure
I
he was.
screaming and crying. Yeah.
No, like, did you go straight to the ground or did you actually ride it for a minute?
No, I like fell off halfway, and then my uncle grabbed me right before I hit the ground.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
All right, so you
It
actually
was
stayed
like-
on for a minute.
it was like a 500-pound pig.
Wow.
Oh, it was like I don't know why I was thinking this small little pig. I was like, oh, it's not that bad. No,
They
that's
were
like
these
one
big-
of those. Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
the pig in Charlotte's Web?
the big ass
Yeah.
pigs.
Yeah, like those big
Yeah.
pink pigs that.
Later that day, John ate some pork chops from that pig.
Yeah. That
He
pig's
showed it.
pig's long
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pig is long dead.
So AT&T is trying to put lipstick on a pig, and Elliott Management is like, nah, we don't like this shit. So they bought $3.2 billion of AT&T stock on the DL, and then they did what's called, I guess, an activist. Shit, I don't even know. Basically, they're doing an activist takeover where they're trying to rally all the other shareholders. Now that they own 1%, they're trying to rally all the shareholders, and they're saying, yo, AT&T and their management is like ass backwards. Like, these guys don't know what they're doing. They just dropped $85 billion on buying Time Warner, which they shouldn't have done. They're basically trying to take over Hollywood, become a media and entertainment company. They're way behind the curve. Netflix is way ahead. Apple way ahead. Amazon way ahead. And AT&T's trying to come. They bought Time Warner, which, by the way, the crown jewel of Time Warner, we all know, is HBO.
Yeah.
So they're trying to like capitalize on HBO Now or HBO Max. And Elliott is just like, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing with this $160 billion in debt.
Isn't that going to be like the third HBO streaming service?
I think so, man.
Yeah,
There's HBO Now.
now, HBO Go,
HBO
and then
Go,
HBO
yeah.
Max.
What the hell?
I was literally like, what the hell is that? How is that different?
It just feels like AT&T, like, I remember when they had the rights to the iPhone in 2007, and you could only get the iPhone if you signed up for AT&T service.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like they botched the shit out of that. Like, that should have put them into, like, you know, crazy territory of, like, it's almost like monopolistic because the iPhone was so powerful back then. They had it for like 2 years. First, they should have extended that somehow.
Yep.
And second, they should have, like, I don't know, turned it into some sort of big ass money making opportunity. And it feels like they just were asleep at the wheel at that. I don't know. I signed up for it for like a year or two, and then boom, once I could move from AT&T, I moved right away.
Bye.
Yeah, they didn't make it didn't make sense for me to stick there. They did not make it make sense for me to stay. So, you know, so that's what these guys are doing. Now they are a $270 billion company according to the stock market. So they're a valuable. The stock market believes them as a valuable company. They do have a lot of valuable assets. My guess is Elliott is going to want to try and spin off a lot of these things or change management altogether, because I think they think that there's just a bunch of 60-year-old white dudes who don't know what the hell they're doing. They just keep buying these random assets because they can. Yeah, I don't know. What would the life coach say about that?
Oh, it's like I'm not a big fan of like telecommunications firms.
Yeah, Verizon.
Yeah,
AT&T,
internet service providers.
Comcast.
It's
No one really likes them, do they?
Here's what I hate. So when I moved to
Xfinity.
Chicago, dude. So you go and you go to the Xfinity store and you're like, hey, I need internet on my apartment, and like the process to figure out what kind of internet you want is the most convoluted process, and it's intentional. Like they are intentionally trying to make it as confusing and as difficult as possible, because if you don't actually understand what's happening, or if you don't understand your options, then you don't have as much of a say. Like you can't make as much of an informed decision, and that's just like, that's just not good.
We need to confuse the shit out of these people.
Literally.
This is a
Like-
marketing meeting.
Yeah, it's the same thing, like as in like buying a used car or something like that. Is it?
Well, what is
When
that?
you go to the dealer, you mean?
Yeah, when you go to the car dealership and try to buy a used car, then all of a sudden you're driving around some rust bucket that's going to fail in 3 months.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what does that say about your confidence in your product if that's how you're selling? Like that's how
Right.
you're interacting with customers is like
We have
trying to
shitty
trick
internet.
them.
We need to confuse the shit out of them.
They're just entrenched. Like that's what it is. Now it's just conserve, like protect what we have. It's
Shitty
gross.
internet,
It's gross.
but we need to make it complicated.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they're saying like we have really shitty stuff and really shitty products. The only way these people are going to actually buy them is if we do a huge Donald Trump misdirection, distraction of like, here's your options. We want to confuse the shit out of you.
Yep.
Do not pay attention to the quality of our product.
They're afraid of change.
It's all from fear, baby.
Yeah, totally.
Said like a true life coach.
I'm very excited when Elon Musk, and there was somebody else, I don't remember who it was, but they're talking about sending satellites into space for internet.
Recently?
Instead of, yeah.
Was it Jack Ma from Alibaba?
It might have been.
They were talking about AI.
Oh, okay.
But it might have been that conference because that was been getting a lot of attention.
But I love this idea of disruption, especially when you have a company like Comcast. Comcast got voted the #1 most hated company in America like 2 or 3 years ago. Like they're consistently.
I thought you could say 2 years in a row.
Them. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm
Maybe,
sure
huh?
it has been multiple years in a row. But like that. But that's the thing that I also love about like the marketplace is like when you are operating a business in a way that doesn't have consumers' best interests in mind, you will eventually get upturned.
Yeah.
You will eventually, and that's the day that I'm waiting for.
Unfortunately,
is like when that no longer works.
It doesn't seem like that happens with elections and politicians.
Yeah.
I must say, if I like anything about
it's also not a totally free market.
what?
The the political system.
Correct. It's not. I mean, you can buy elections. It's the bottom line. You can buy a person can buy. Companies can buy elections. So yeah, I would say like in the world of capitalism, like with this whole Carlos Ghosn and Hiroto Saikawa, like these guys, like at some point they get just the board knocks them out because the board is kind of like a dictator a little bit. And so they can just knock out anyone. And the board is going to like report to the consumer.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, if they stop buying our shit, so we better get rid of the CEO.
Bingo.
So yeah, at some level that's true. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think Elliott is right. This hedge fund, they're right about AT&T. And I love how, by the way, Trump weighed in on this whole thing because one thing that Time Warner owns is CNN. And so he's like, I'm glad Elliott is doing an activist, takeover or whatever, because maybe now they'll
those liars.
Yeah, they'll fix CNN's fake news. Yeah. So, good luck, AT&T. I don't have much hope for you. I think that a lot of people are going to turn on AT&T. So,
kind of hope so.
Yeah, maybe we'll get better internet.
Yep.